For your time. Hi, Dr. Chukwuike. Thank you for coming on the
Thank you
show.
so much.
So I had this conversation earlier where we talked about how polio has been effectively eradicated, right, via vaccination. I don't know, were there other interventions or just strictly through vaccination?
Yes, primarily through vaccination, but vaccine alone would not be allowed. We need to also guard against possible importation. Countries can be declared polio free, like Nigeria was declared polio free in August 2020. Yeah, we are declared polio free, but at the same time, we did not step down. Yeah, we have people at the borders watching for possible import of cases so that if you see such thing, there will be triaged and samples taken and tested. Okay. So when we vaccinate, sure, we also need to increase our guides to ensure that we don't have imported cases.
Okay, so since 2020, that is 5, 6 years since, has there been reported sporadic cases of polio anywhere, or it has been cold and silent ever since?
Now, to answer the question straight, before that 2020, in the international community, we have what we call the pain. We have Pakistan, we have Afghanistan, we have Nigeria, India, and Nigeria, PAIN. These four countries constitute the burden of the highest burden of polio, white polio viruses all over the world, with all the interventions being put into it. But gradually, countries began to do the needful. India left, and Nigeria followed. Since 2020, we've not had wide polio virus dictated anywhere in Nigeria. And Nigeria happens to be the last country in the continent of Africa to be declared polio free. So as at today, every country in African region is declared polio free. However, we have what we call the circulating vaccine-derived polio virus. This is a mutant of vaccine candidates. When we vaccinate children that are malnourished, that are immunocompromised, and when vaccine coverage is not high, the problem we have is that the vaccine strain seems to mutate and give rise to what we call the vaccine derived polio viruses. Is not the white polio virus. Thank you.
Okay. So, in your opinion and given your expertise, how can we replicate what happened with polio with other, communicable, diseases like hepatitis, yellow fever? Yellow fever has a vaccine.
Sure.
How do we replicate this? How do we take the framework and replicate it and see that we eradicate these other ones?
All right. One of the good things that happened to countries in sub-Saharan Africa was the initial partnership we had with the West. They developed capacity. When I talk about capacity, human capacity, infrastructural capacity that we were able to use to contain polio. A lot of people were trained as vaccinators. A lot of people are trained on field epidemiologists. A lot of people are trained for identification of cases using case definition protocols. A lot of people are trained in sample management. Coolies are trained also in testing. So what has happened over time is that with polio being eradicated, we knew that we were not yet done with potential infectious materials, more so vaccine preventable diseases. So there was a transition. The same structure we use in polio in Nigeria was used in COVID. The same structure we use was used in our own environment, Lassa. Currently, we have massive epidemic of Lassa in the country.
Yes.
So the infrastructure we use in polio containment is exactly what we are using now to do the surveillance, dictate cases, identify cases, and also for treatment protocol. However, some of them, we don't have vaccine already, like for instance, Lassa, we don't have vaccine, but there is an ongoing phase 3 vaccine trial happening in Ghana, which is just a neighboring country there. So we believe that when that is done and vaccine is accepted, that we'll have vaccine for such things.
Okay, we're very hopeful. But let me ask this hypothetical question. should COVID reemerge, how ready are we as a nation?
I'm not trying to run my country down, but the truth is that the whole lesson, many countries continued building on experiences we had in COVID. COVID opened up so many things, how good, how bad our systems were. Currently, if we have a pandemic of that nature, I doubt whether this country is ready. One, not because of infrastructure is there, but we've lost the best hands. We've lost the best brains. We've lost almost all the people. If you send out your CV out of this country, and there is an evidence that you are among those frontline health workers that combated COVID in Nigeria, so many countries will give you employment. So we've lost so many people due to the Jabba syndrome that we have in the country. So if we happen to have such now, I doubt. But however, we still maintain the succession plan. We are still training younger colleagues, people. But the truth is that you graduate them in schools. The next moment, you are getting an application. Chief, please sign this. I want to travel out of the country. So we are losing our best hands, our best brains, and best everything to other countries of the world.
Yeah, that's so true. But aside training of younger ones, are there other contingency, plans? Should, for example, Lassa is here with us. What is the plan? I mean, in terms of contact tracing, quarantine, just walk us through it.
Now, let's use what we have at hand now. Lassa is ravaging. Now, in Enugu here, we have the international airport.
Yeah.
The unit where I work, we are always placed on alert. Yesterday, I left the hospital almost past 7 p.m. There was an alert. Stand by, we might have a suspected case of one of these viral hemorrhagic. We don't know. So we have to stay back. So when we have such thing, number one is that there is a case definition. People are trained to identify who is possibly, did this person make the case definition? If the person made the case definition, you triage. You put the person out of the public, and you now collect sample, send the sample, triple packaging. Colleagues are trained how to sample this and to transport these samples in a way that it will not lose its potency. So we convert them on cold chain, and colleagues in the laboratory will, and the person is already in isolation, the patient, the suspected patient. So now when the test is done using PCR and the result is positive or negative, it is also communicated back. If it happens to be positive, there is an active case search. You now do line listing, you do contact tracing. Where have you been in the last 2 hours? Where have you been in the last 3 hours, last 24 hours? Who and who did you meet there? The line lists are made. People are told to isolate because somebody that you had contact with was confirmed positive for this virus or this bacteria, in this case, Lassa, and that person is kept monitored temperature for possible sign. If there happens to be any, the index of suspicion is high enough, the person is sampled and sample tested.
Yeah.
If the person is positive, the person will also go in isolation. And we have good hands in the clinic that we handle and treat those conditions.
All right, thank you so much. That's so reassuring. And thank you so much for the important work you are doing, Dr. Chinedu Chiwike. Thank you so much.
Thank you.